Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! First, background. I can't swim to save my life, so I wear goggles and a nose plug. Despite not knowing how to swim, I love going to the pool. The cast. There is entitled dad, entitled brat, at least 10, adorable girl about 4, boyfriend, lifeguard, and then me. Some summers ago, boyfriend and I went to the pool fairly early to avoid long lines and kids. Sadly, both of our entitled people in this story were there. I changed quickly to my bathing suit, goggles, nose plug, and hair cap. Since my boyfriend was still changing, I sat in the shallow/kiddie pool. Tons of kids playing and splashing, but I didn't really care. And then the adorable girl walked over. "Excuse me, can you play with me?" She asks me. "Sorry, no, where are your parents?" She shrugs and asks again. I tell her, "How about we sit here and wait for your parents?" She nods and starts talking to me about Dora. While she's talking, I signal the lifeguard and he makes the announcement about a missing girl. After 20 minutes, the entitled dad walks up to us looking angry, and the adorable girl gets up and runs to him. "Daddy!" He picks her up and leaves, but not before glaring at me. I thought that was the end of it. My boyfriend shows up and we go to the big pool. We have fun for a few hours and my boyfriend tries and fails to teach me to swim. He then goes to the deep end to jump on the diving board. He waits in line for his turn. I wait to 8 feet, holding onto a thick float rope connected to a pillar in the pool. My boyfriend then looked at me in horror, and before I knew it, I felt the entitled brat climb on top of the pillar and tackle me. I banged my arm on the floor and cut my head and back. The entitled brat ripped off my goggles, scratching my face and cap, and swam away. I could barely see, let alone reach the surface. My boyfriend and the lifeguard hurried to help me out. While the lifeguard did CPR, my boyfriend called 911. When he was done, he went to look for the entitled brat. While the other lifeguards were escorting people out of the pool, the entitled brat ran to the kiddie pool and gave the adorable girl my stuff. And my boyfriend punched him. And the brat started crying. The entitled dad screams, "What are you doing? Tell your brat to give my girlfriend back her stuff. He nearly killed her." "Screw you! Tell your pedo witch to stay away from my daughter. Be lucky that's all my son did." The two kept fighting until pool security kicked them out. Outside, my boyfriend and the entitled dad were still yelling at each other. When the paramedics arrived, they took me to the ambulance. The adorable girl and the entitled brat's mom were outside. She was mad she had to leave the pool, saying it was my fault. She quickly changed her tone when she saw the cops. She desperately apologized for her family and offered to get us pizza in exchange for not getting the police involved. Too late, witch. At the hospital, I had a concussion and needed stitches. They asked me if I wanted to press charges, and I immediately said yes. The cops left to get the entitled brat, and he only got 2 months of juvenile and community service, and his parents paid my hospital bills. I'm also happy to announce that he and his family are still banned from the pool. This happened last year, so some background. I was 13 turning 14 at the time and it was my party. I especially hate this cousin of mine, the entitled brat of the story, as he spoiled and he attempted to hurt me before. So this happens after the party as I opened all my gifts. Mostly money as my family thinks to rather give me money. I got £60, important for later. Then gifts as I can't buy what I want later on. Mostly money as my family thinks to rather give me money than gifts as I can buy whatever I want later on. I got £60 at this point and this will be important for later. I put the money in my drawer in a small box which I used to put stuff in. The entitled brat was supposed to stay the night, which I hated as I ended up not being allowed to play on my Xbox because the entitled brat didn't bring his Nintendo 3DS charger. I found this absurd as it's my birthday, so why can't I play my Xbox? I went to sleep quite early while he stayed up. I don't know what he did, but I knew he was doing something from the noises he kept making, but I was too sleepy to care. Anyway, the next morning I woke up and was ready to go shopping as I arranged with my friend. I look in the drawer and there is only 20 pounds left. I immediately knew that the entitled brat took the other 40 pounds. I ran downstairs and saw them packing up. "Give me my 40 pounds back." "What 40 pounds?" "The 40 that you stole from my drawer." "I took nothing from you." I open his backpack and search it, and as expected, I find the 40 in one of the small pouches. I asked, "Then why are there 40 pounds in your bag?" His mom must have heard the argument and walked to the corridor where it's happening. "So, why do I hear fighting?" she asks. "Because your child stole 40 pounds from me, and I want it back." "No, you're not getting it back, because you don't deserve it. He's younger than you, so leave it to him." I then had an idea in mind, so I just told her, "Okay, if you say so." And I made sure to say it as sarcastically as possible. I let them go home, then I let my friend know what happened later. When I knew they got home, I immediately called my awesome uncle and told him what happened. He told the entitled brat to give me back my money or he will throw away his Nintendo 3DS. The entitled brat refused because he thought my uncle was bluffing. But nope. My uncle indeed grabbed his Nintendo 3DS and broke it right in front of him. The awesome uncle also got me back the money his son stole. And I finally went on the shopping trip with my friend. This happened in my local airport last summer when me and my family were going to the United States to visit my cousins. My family does not appear in this story. I'm waiting in the airport for my family to check in. We were going to the US to visit cousins. Suddenly I notice a lady is coming at me and hurriedly says, "Give me your tickets." Which is really expensive, by the way. My dad had to save up a lot of money for them. I was really confused, like, who the heck asked this kind of request from a stranger? So I dumbfoundedly asked her, "What?" She just yelled, "Give it to me." "No, why don't you buy your own ticket?" "I don't have any money." She then starts to pretend to cry. Very fake. By the way, the entitled lady and her daughter were wearing really expensive stuff, like nice handbags from famous stores, a lot of necklaces, so many I couldn't even see the entitled lady's neck because of the necklaces, and other stuff too. I tell her, "I'm not dumb. I can see you're wearing a lot of expensive stuff. Get your own ticket. I'm gonna call the cops on you for threatening me." How am I threatening her? "Ma'am, come with us." A cop appears out of nowhere and tells her that. "What? Someone reported to us that you were trying to get back kids' ticket." "Screw you! You racist jerk!" All of us were Chinese, by the way. Like, what the hell? How is that racist? She then proceeds to let the cop's arms to let her go. The cop tells her, "Just keep this up and you will be arrested for harming the police." She immediately stopped and just went with them to wherever they were taking her. This was definitely the weirdest 50 minutes of my life. Short backstory. I am suffering from social anxiety and the key element to the story is I hate when strangers touch me. I get really uncomfortable / freaked out by it. That and the fact that I did take a couple self-defense classes a couple of years ago. Not too much, but enough to know how to strike a punch. So the story happens in a local go-to discount store. The dress code is a blue polo with the store's logo in a big yellow font on the back and a small logo on the front. It really shouldn't be hard to spot when someone is an employee. I was wearing a classic white shirt at the time, not remotely any hue of blue, and no bright yellow name tag on it. Anyway, I was casually browsing the store, putting stuff in a cart I was carrying with me, and at some point I decided that I don't really want this random item. So naturally I go to put it back, because I'm a decent human being that doesn't leave stuff lying around randomly. And in comes the angry witch of this story. She proceeds to first snap her fingers and says something along the lines of, "Hey you, come over here." Like so many others in those kind of situations, I ignore her, thinking she isn't talking to me. Because why would she? I'm obviously not an employee. Turns out the angry witch did not like this. At one point, I walk away from her toward the registers to pay for my goods. As I'm walking away, the angry witch proceeds to walk up behind me, grab me by the shoulder, yell something like, "How dare you, blah blah blah, yada yada yada, you should not ignore me, squee squee," and spin me around. As I mentioned, I'm a no touchy guy. And I'm not saying what I did is necessarily okay, but I acted on pure instinct from what I learned in self-defense. Mid-spin around, I yell as, "Back off," as loud as I can. A good tactic to use if you're being assaulted or harassed, as it works as a deterrent factor for the assailant, because you're not an easy target, and it also draws people's attention, thus giving you witnesses. And I proceeded to give a mixture of a shove and a punch. The result of the punch was the entitled lady falling flat on her back and proceeding to yell even more obscure things. "What the actual heck are you doing, lady?" I yell at her. "What the heck? Did you just punch a paying customer? I demand to talk to your manager right now." "What? I don't work here, what the hell?" "You filthy liar. You just assaulted me. I'll have you fired and arrested." Luckily, a manager was actually in the same aisle as we were in. Why she didn't ask him is beyond me. He's wearing the name tag. And I guess he heard us shouting cause he came rushing over. "What's going on here?" he asks. "Your bad employee just ignored me, then proceeded to assault me completely unprovoked. I demand that you fire him and call the police." "Lady, I told you I don't work here. You assaulted me. Of course I'm going to defend myself." "Ma'am, this man doesn't work here." "Of course he is. He's putting things back on the shelves." "Still, he doesn't work here. Never has either as far as I know." "I still demand that you call the police." The manager gave me a knowing look and a smile. Turns out, the store has CCTV cameras pointing just down this aisle. The manager tells her, "I'd be happy to call the police for you, ma'am. I'm sure they will be here soon." I tell him, "Look, man, I really just want to buy my stuff and go home." "You're not going anywhere. You assaulted me. You're lucky I'm going to the police instead of beating you." Mature, wow. Who would have imagined? Long story short, the manager called the police, and two nice gentlemen in uniforms were with us within 10 minutes, asking what happened. The angry witch proceeds to give the story about how I completely ignored her because she had a question, and that I then proceeded to hit her and kick her. What the hell, I shoved her out of the way. And I tell my story, where she keeps screaming about how I'm a filthy liar and she's a poor victim because she's a woman and all other sorts of crap. Then, the manager tells us that he can quickly pull up the footage from the CCTV, and the police were more than eager to see it. About 5 minutes later, we're all standing in the back looking at the footage. Officer says, "Well, lady, it does look like you assaulted him," and he simply defended himself. I don't spot him either punching or kicking you. This results in arguing that would most likely be flagged for excessive foul language, and is just one giant mess of a discussion between her and the officers. I guess it can be summarized that she had a moment, and it ends with her lunging at one of the officers. Looks like she was going to slap him or something, and she was taken back to the station with them. Apparently, attempting to assault an officer isn't very popular with said officer. I have no clue what happened to her, but I was free to go and got a free coupon for approximately $35 for the store, which was more than the total I was paying for, so I was quite happy with that. I saw the manager a couple times in the store afterward. Apparently, the crazy woman has been banned from the store and she got charged for assaulting an officer, but he hasn't heard anything new either. It was all one big mess of what the heck is going on. Edit 2. So some people have been asking what happened to the lady, if I pressed charges or whatever. She did end up getting a sentence for trying to assault the officer. What it was, I don't know, but at least she got what she was coming for her. This happened on last 26th January, and today the malicious compliance was done, but not by me, but by the committee of the society where I live. This drama conveniently happened in front of my window. In my city, the residential complexes are managed by housing societies much like the HOA system in the USA, just not as horrible. Each society has their own committee to manage day-to-day affairs, Also, as my society has much more parking spaces than it has cars, it has no designated parking spots allotted to the residents. Anyone can park their vehicle wherever they want, but it must be a marked parking spot. People mostly park their cars in the same parking spot just because of convenience and habit. Everyone mostly respects each other's spot, and I have never seen any confrontations happening because of the parking. So those of you who don't know, 26th January is a Republic Day of India, and all over the country the day is celebrated by flag hoisting ceremony in the morning. The flagpole of our society where the flag hoisting ceremony will be held is just in front of the main gate of society. There are 2 parking spaces just under the flagpole. All other parkings are further away from the main gate and you have to walk some distance to reach there from the main gates. On the evening of 25th January, committee members asked this person to move his car for a day so that the decorations and other arrangements for the next day's flag hoisting can be made. Someone had already moved the car of the elderly person, however the annoying guy was too frustrated about moving the car and first argued a lot with committee people saying that there is no such rule in society rule book that someone has to move their car for any kind of festivities, and if you want to move his car, you have to write a rule in a rule book. After a lot of arguments and interference from other people, he finally moved his car. The decorations were done in the night and the next day a small but beautiful ceremony was held. And in the evening of the 26th, everyone in the society received a message that there was an emergency meeting of the committee. The rule book has been amended, and it has been decided that those 2 parking spots have to be converted into 1, and anyone who wants to park in that 1 spot has to take prior permission from the society committee. As expected, only 2 people applied for that parking spot, the elderly person and the annoying guy. And today the committee unanimously decided that the elderly person is in much more need of that convenient parking spot because of his age, and that the spot has been allotted to him for 1 year. Now the annoying guy has to park his car far from his front door for at least 1 year. Pretty sure that he is not going to get the spot next year too. He is not going to like this more in the coming rainy season, as we live in Mumbai, which is notorious for its horrible monsoon rains each year. All this just because he didn't want to move his car for 1 day. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.